In this video, I'm going to share what I discovered about being likable that I wish I learned earlier. If you struggle with being likable, confidence, or developing real connections that last, or just know that it could be improved, you are not alone. In 2024, approximately 21% of US adults reported feeling lonely and disconnected. Since 1938, scientists at Harvard University have been seeking the key to a happy life. And after 85 years of research, they concluded that it is our relationships with other people that is the greatest source of happiness. This is a very important matter to us humans. And there are four main things that I discovered that made a lasting difference and changed relationships at the root level for me. I've been doing personal growth and healing work since 2002, and you can do a lot of work and never really get to the right thing that yields the most results. And I went from regularly experiencing social insecurity, like an outsider, not belonging, real pained, to feeling at home in myself and making connections easily. And it was a complete 180 and so worth it. So before that, I spent years learning relational and communication skills. That helped, but we're still top level. It didn't address the root of the issue. So number one, introducing the real you. The first thing a teacher told me was that people don't ever really get to meet the real you. They meet your story about you, the story you keep telling yourself over and over again about who you are. They meet your past that's running in the present, most of which got imprinted in childhood. And this might seem obvious, but in my 20s, I had never thought of that before. The real us? Without the strategies and the closing of the heart, we are all heart, and it's pure possibility. There is no set way that we are a state of love. And then we became a human and all these things happen. So the first thing is bringing awareness and truth to this and noticing, how am I not myself?
How am I not myself?
Part of you probably recognize that there's more to you than how you feel sometimes. Thing number two, our relationships are a mirror of our consciousness. Neville Goddard quote from the book, Power of Awareness. What happens to you as circumstances, conditions, and even material objects are only the products of your own consciousness. When I first heard this, I was like, what? I didn't really get it. I was thinking, how could other people's behaviors be about my consciousness? Like, aren't they just being a jerk? And if I'm being really honest, I did a lot of blaming and complaining and kept getting similar results. And it wasn't until I took 100% responsibility for this, everything that was happening in my relationships, not as fault or blame, but as data. Then things started shifting really fast. I went to a group event where we were all sitting and checking in, and a woman reflected after my check-in with an unkind comment. And I felt validated, hurt, and dismissed. And I had read this principle and thought, okay, this is actually how how it felt with my parents when I was growing up. And my first reaction was like, what's your problem? But then I connected it and thought about, oh, so when I was younger, I always felt like I was bad and wrong and invalidated. And this woman was mirroring back to me how I felt as a child. So a healer once told me that we have an inner child, an inner parent, an inner narcissist, and an adult self. And that we will draw people to us to reenact these patterns over and over again until we heal it. So I actually took it on and started looking at all of this and started realizing that I was treating myself, my younger part, my inner child, with invalidation. And I had to shift that and start being kinder. So after this incident and all these insights, another mind-blowing story came my way. So check this out. There's a book called Zero Limits by Joe Vitale. And in this book, he told this true story that in 1983, Dr. Hugh Len took over the Hawaii State Hospital, known for the criminally insane. People thought the ward was hopeless and there was regular violence. They were in shackles. They were taking high doses of medication. His predecessors quit in despair, often in less than a month, because they didn't know what to do. So Dr. Hugh Len went there and he didn't meet with any of the patients. Instead, he was in his office looking at each one of their files, and he would do the Ho'oponopono prayer while looking at them. That is a Hawaiian prayer that's based on the premise that we are all one and that everything we see is a reflection of something within us. And gradually, after a few months, nurses started noticing there were changes at the ward. Patients started taking less drugs, there was less violence, gradually the shackles came off, and one begins tending the gardens, and someone else begins repairing the tennis courts. Eventually, the staff are so amazed by the changes that they learn the Ho'oponopono prayer as well, and they start doing it. And after 2 years, the atmosphere changes so much that the prisoners, one by one, are eventually released, except 2 that got transferred to another ward. But after 4 years, the clinic is shut forever. So Dr. Hugh Len explains that he took full responsibility to heal the part in himself that was creating the suffering in the consciousness. And after hearing the story, I really started taking it on and doing the Ho'oponopono prayer every single day. The prayer is, I'm sorry for creating the suffering. Please forgive me for creating the suffering. Thank you. And you're saying thank you not to the person, but to the universe, source, God, whatever your word is. And then you say, I love you, to reestablish love. And he calls this cleaning the data, our false beliefs, reactions, and creations. And it's not to change other people, ever, but it's to clean the data which brought the confusion into our awareness, creating the suffering. So after weeks of doing this all day, every day, with anyone who activates me, whenever I am triggered by anything in the news, anything that creates a suffering reaction, I started noticing changes. I felt way more peaceful. Friends who I normally got triggered by sometimes stopped. My mom called me and said that she feels closer to God than ever, and she rarely calls me with really chipper news. My daughter was having trouble in school with a frenemy, and we did the prayer together until she felt peace, and the friends stopped picking on her. So I highly recommend this. It's free on YouTube. You can learn how to do it, but I highly recommend reading the book Zero Limits because it really explains I really had to grok it by reading the book, and it matters where your awareness is, that it's 100% within us. So again, it is no one else's fault. It is us creating the confusion and drawing it in. Thing number 3, this one was profound and powerful. I cannot recommend enough that everyone in the world do this. So inherited ancestral trauma, the technique for healing it is called family constellations. And it's a technique to uncover the hidden traumas in a family system that is impacting us as an individual. So if you ever feel like you're not in charge of your life, or you're regularly experiencing emotions, or routinely engaged in avoiding behavior in behaviors or patterns that are difficult to explain in the context of your life experience, or irrational fears, regularly feeling overwhelmed by persistent or blocked emotions, that's a sign that you have transgenerational trauma. And I don't know that I would have known that, but when I started, but then I had all these wonky symptoms that are signs of transgenerational trauma, like issues in my relationships, finances, my life force. So think of yourself as a tuning fork and feeling the emotions of your ancestors, whether they're alive or not. And when we don't know this, we think it's our feelings and beliefs, and we replay the past as if it's ours. So imagine feeling rejected or worthless or hopeless in relationships and you don't know why. But these kinds of emotions can totally mess with your life. You see your parents acting out these emotions and then you act out these emotions, but you have so-called evidence as to why it must be your emotions. It's wild. And then when you start going into the field, you see that it actually comes generations back. So I have a personal example of how this has worked for me, but there's so many. So in 2016, I'm living in New York and dating a guy for the last 2 years, and we're in a very unhealthy relationship. Both of us are repeating these painful patterns, and I'm embarrassed because I'm so hurt by how I'm being treated, and I'm bitching about it to my friends, but then I'm going right back to him. And it's just crazy. And I try to break up with him many, many times. But right after I do, I get so depressed and dysfunctional that I end up on the floor of my room. So eventually I end up going back to him because I can't take it anymore. So when I have my constellation, I'm able to see that my relationship was mirroring my relationship with my parents as a child, and then their relationship with their parents as a child. All this subconscious heartache was getting activated. And whenever I broke up with this guy, but it was really a pattern that started generations back. And when I received a few sessions to heal that break in the bond, they call it, between child to parent, all of a sudden, I don't feel heartache anymore. I don't even feel an attraction to this person anymore. And I don't feel this need to be entangled in this drama. And I'm able to end things very easily and move on. And we're actually really great friends now. And as I continue healing patterns with my family, I got more life force back. more confidence back. It's like I'm more grounded and here in my body. It's amazing. And what I learned was that from the ancestors, an energy of life force flows down. And when it gets constricted by trauma or heartache or illness, so many different things, we have that like water faucet of life force constricted. So another thing I noticed was that all my social nerves started dissipating and I didn't even have to do anything anymore socializing, and people would like being around me. And I know it was my energy field. So it was developed by Bert Hellinger in 1990s, a German psychotherapist. A few facts that I learned about constellations is that we all live in an energetic field that carries trauma, beliefs, and ancestral patterns. And even Rupert Sheldrake, he calls it the morphogenetic field. And it's an invisible field of information that connects us. Constellations have been around for decades, and the field communicates to us like a tuning forks, and we are here to listen. We're here to meet that energy, give it a voice, and bring harmony back to our system. I love this technique so much that I trained in it so I could do it on my own, and it has been well worth every single penny. And here are some book recommendations if you want to dive deep. These books are great, and they have some techniques, questions, and things that you can do for yourself. The first one's called Love's Hidden Symmetry by Bert Hellinger, the OG of family constellations. It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolynn, and Connected Fates, Separate Destinies by Maureen Selinet. So good. So you don't even have to heal all of it. As you heal parts of your family, chunks of stuff going on in your field, you will continue to feel better and better, and you will see your social life improve without efforting. Thing number 4, the last thing, you have to like others for them to like you. So Vanessa Van Edwards in the book Captivate said that the most popular kids in schools are the ones who like the most people. They were the ones who smile at other kids, went up to them and said hi, and they aren't afraid of expressing that they like others. They're not afraid of the rejection. They lean in and get curious, ask questions. People can be terrified of rejection, and when someone likes you, it makes it much safer for you to like them back. And being clearly liked is very likable. So in order to do this and to be genuine at it, because you can't be ingenuine, is you have to first really like yourself. We will project our relationship with our inner child onto other people. If we do not like ourselves, we will not like other people eventually, or not for long. And after doing all this work with Ho'oponopono prayers and family constellations, I got to really see in depth, like it's trippy, like we do not know what our relationship with our inner child is. It can be a really huge blind spot. And when I started doing these techniques, I saw just how much I was invalidating and rejecting my own inner self. So when you get responsible for your own inner world and your inner parts and loving yourself, then you start to feel safe and good within you. And 2 things start to happen. You stop needing others to like you, to feel good and loved. And paradoxically, when you stop needing so much from other people, you end up receiving more love. So, nerdy fact time. I've seen in family constellations over and over again that people who say they want love, but they're running a story over and over again that they're not loved, myself included in the past, of course, they can't let love in. They're attached to the story that they're not loved, and there's actually no energetic space. And it's wild. I've seen people literally not hear and recognize love that is showing up in the field and in life when they have this running. So the key is receiving it and actually harmonizing the field. And when you keep seeking it for it outside of you, it will always have limits and not happen as much as you like. So a recap of the 4 things is 1, notice, how am I not myself? If your story is familiar, it's the past. Number 2, our outer world and relationships are a mirror for our consciousness. When we own this 100%, magic happens. Number 3, inherited ancestral trauma. We are a tuning fork and replaying out all the past dynamics in our family and feeling their emotions. Work that out and it frees you up and you get way more life force. And you feel better to be around. And number 4, you have to like others and yourself for them to like you. Everything that happens in our relationships is a reflection of our relationship to our inner child. If we poop on our inner child, people will poop on you. If we make it wrong, guess what's going to happen? So there is an emotional labor in this, and it will pay you back 1,000-fold. I'm promising you. Like when you own 100% responsibility for your inner world, your life magically transforms. So may all beings be happy and free.